The crypto gaming sector has fallen out of favor in recent years. However, the overall gaming sector is valued at around $250 billion. And I believe that crypto gaming will make a huge comeback, and the project that we are going to look into today is one of the prime candidates for a good potential bull run. However, not everything is perfect with it, so let's jump into it and let's do a full review on Echelon Prime. Echelon Prime is aiming to be an entire ecosystem for crypto gaming, and currently they have one game, it's called Parallel, and this is a trading cards game. The Prime token is used within the ecosystem, and let me show you all the things that I like about Echelon Prime, specifically for their launching game. First of all, the graphics of the game are pretty good in my opinion. Even for a card game, they have a lot of animations, and within the game, the cards actually look pretty cool, and all the graphics when you get into a match against other opponents. I think this is definitely a huge selling factor, and actually the creators of this game have pretty good resume. The artists and developers have been working with pretty solid names in the industry, including Blizzard, Xbox, Epic Games, and so on. And as you can see here, as I mentioned, the graphics are definitely impressive. It's all in the sci-fi theme, and I personally quite enjoy looking at this. Even though I'm not a huge gamer and card gaming it is not really a thing for me, but as you can see, definitely I can see the appeal for the people that are into this type of gaming. However, we have seen games with good graphics that fail in the long term, and for crypto games specifically, the tokenomics and the use of the tokens is extremely important. And Prime, the mother, so you need to understand this a little bit better, but the Parallel is the game, and Echelon Prime is like the host of this game that potentially is going to have other games similar to what Magic is. Magic is an ecosystem, Treasure DAO I'm talking about. I have a full review on it if you want to watch it, but Prime is aiming to be the same type of ecosystem and to use their token for all the games, across all the games that they're going to be launching in the future. And in order for this to be a sustainable model, first the Prime token needs to have a lot of utility, and then they need to have tokenomics that make sense. And in the case of Prime, I think they have both. First, the Prime token is used within the economy of the game. You can buy and sell NFTs, and these NFTs could hold value within the game, and then you can obviously sell them at a later stage. But also there are the so-called sync distributions, and basically you can see here from the graph, but for every 100 Prime that is spent within the game, 73% of these go to the gameplay pool, and this means that over 70% and in the future over 80% is going to get redistributed back into the community in form of incentives or tournament awards or whatever. But within the gameplay, you can win tokens by doing well. Obviously, they're not just gonna distribute tokens to everybody, but if you're good in this game and you have like streaks of winning and so on and so on, you will be getting more Prime while you progress in the game. And this means there's a sustainable model, at least in my opinion, on this game. It's not only driven by inflation, it's driven by the whole system. So if you have more gamers that spend more money, this means more money will get floated back into the system and into the gameplay pool, and the wheel will keep spinning, and this will be a sustainable model for the long term. Overall, the reviews I've seen from players and people on YouTube are pretty good. They're pretty impressed with the games. Also on Twitter, there's been a lot of noise about this. They are planning an expansion pack which is called Planetfall. Although they're still in beta, I can see that the game is developing quite fast, and there are very different strategies to play and very different decks and so on, so on, so on. So this, I think this is very key to stay engaged within the game, because you know, these games come and go, and people might lose interest unless they make the economy and obviously the gameplay interesting enough for the players. So overall, I think this is a pretty good strategy for them. I also see a lot of influencers talking about them, and actually they're encouraging influencers to build content to get access to the beta version. And always for a game, I think it's very important to have streamers on board, so they play and they, you know, have their game being exposed to all the audiences that they have on Twitch or YouTube or whatever they decide to stream. So definitely another good selling point. And the last thing that I wanted to point out, this hasn't really been announced officially, but currently the game is on Ethereum mainnet, but it will be moving to Base, and this means that obviously the costs for gas will be much lower, and Base is the new hot L2 on the block, so definitely I think this is good. And although I couldn't find information, I believe that Coinbase Ventures itself is invested in this token, and it's the only major exchange pretty much that has listed the token, which actually brings me to all the things that I don't really like about this project. Let's jump quickly into CoinGecko and see where the token is listed. And as I mentioned here, you can see the major SEX is the Coinbase exchange, and then we have Uniswap, the number one leader in volume, and then we have Gate, Bybit, and so on. Relatively okay exchange diversification. However, we're still missing major players like Binance and KuCoin here on the list, and maybe even Kraken. But as you can see, the leader here is Uniswap when it comes to volume, and overall the volumes are not great. $2.4 million volume for the past 24 hours. And yes, we're still in a bear market, and this is, not a crazy amount of volume. But when you combine this with the projected inflation in the coming months, that's a little bit concerning. A major pain point in the tokenomics is that either the investors or the people behind the project have around 45% of the circulating supply, and out of them, over 35% are starting to get unlocked, and this will be a linear unlock. This means every single day we'll get new Prime into circulation, and according to their papers here, that would be around 55,000 Prime every single day added to the circulation supply. And this means that at a price of around $3 currently, $160,000 every day worth of Prime will be unlocked. And if they decide to start selling for the volumes that we currently have, this could definitely easily collapse the price of Prime. Here you can have a dashboard, you can track what are the unlocks, how much is the circulating supply currently. And as you can see here, currently the circulating supply is around 23 million tokens out of 111 million tokens, the total supply. The sunk cost here that you see, these are all the money or all the tokens that are spent on assets within the game. This means they're circulated back, as I explained, for the rewards within the game, and all the rest is tokens that have been claimed until now. But now, as I mentioned, we'll start seeing a lot of inflation coming in for all the unlocks, and it will be interesting to see how this will affect the price, especially in this current environment that we are. And if we jump real quick back into the docs, if I go to the top of it, you'll see that here pretty much they're explaining the Echelon ecosystem with just one sentence, which is pretty much surrounded by their current game. There are no plans, there are no information about what are the plans of Echelon, the mother of Parallel, and what other games are they having in the pipeline, or how they want to develop the whole thing. So this is definitely not a good sign for me. Obviously, one side is that it's good to be focused on one game and so on, but if you're aiming to be like an ecosystem or of some sort, then just give us a little bit more details around this. And it's just not a great set of papers in general compared to others. And when we compare this also to others in the industry, there's another massive game, which is again a trading cards game. This is Gods Unchained, and this is over on Immutable X. This is a layer 2. The gas fees here are much lower, and obviously if Parallel moves to Base again, it will be much healthier for the fees that people are going to be paying. But currently as a layer 1 game, I don't see much edge for now, at least on this game. There's been a lot of hype obviously, and even their NFTs are trading on OpenSea. However, if you see into the activity here, OpenSea volumes are again much down in the past months and even a year or so. And as you can see, even for this particular collection for Parallel Alpha, you can see that the trading volume is very insignificant. And I think one of the reasons for this to be trading is just because the token itself is performing quite well, and people are quite hyped about this token because it has been doing relatively good compared to the conditions that we're in right now. So based on all of this, let's look at the chart and let me tell you what my plan is for this specific token. First of all, one of the best things about this project probably is that it doesn't have a bunch of backholders. It's a brand new token. It launched just several months ago, and as you can see, there's no history here. There's no people trying to dump on you, except obviously for the investors and for the creators of this game. However, this pattern here that we're seeing as an accumulation, it's pretty clean. And although in this period right here, all of crypto was dumping, you can see that Prime was outperforming pretty much all major cryptocurrencies. Currently, we're in correction mode, and that's, I think, pretty normal since from here, from the initial start of this move out of accumulation, we were up 137%, and that was in the span of just a week or two. So pretty normal to see a correction. Honestly, I'm not that excited to start accumulating this right now, and in general, I don't think I'll be accumulating this token just because of all the concerns that I mentioned to you. And in general, games need time to develop, to acquire a database of users. I couldn't find any information about their daily active users. Obviously, they're still in beta, but for me, this means that not that many people are playing the game just yet, and they need to put effort into marketing and into growing their user base, and this obviously will recharge all the economy and everything that we discussed when it comes to the tokenomics. However, since this token doesn't have backholders, it's backed by Coinbase, and the chart is looking clean, and I do still believe the gaming industry will have another boom cycle at some point. I will be closely monitoring for signs of strength and potential second accumulation somewhere around here in the coming months. And if we see gaming and NFTs getting back in favor, this might be a trade that I will be willing to take. If we see a typical pattern, and in a bull run, this is probably one of the most profitable patterns. If we see something like this and a secondary breakout, just like what we had right here, this means that for me, this token has staying power, and in combination of increasing volumes and the market being able to absorb all the inflation that we're seeing, and of course, having more and more players playing this game, then I think this is a prime candidate for a good crypto bull run, and I'll be watching it closely. It's here on my main watch list, but as I mentioned, not interested in accumulating it for now. And that's everything for this token, guys. If you have any questions, you know how to find me.